All right, welcome everybody to the Radical Results Mastermind for Tuesday, February 6th. My name is Rob Goyette and I live in Colorado Springs with my wife and 6-year-old son. I've been supporting leaders in the coaching niche since 2007, and in 2014 I decided to really start focusing on my own business, building a list and making offers to that list and learning how to nurture an audience. And it became a 6-figure business very, very quickly. So I'm here to use all that experience to support you. Now, as far as the Radical Results Mastermind goes, there are 2 levels. There's the basic and the platinum. So those of you who are in basic, we meet for two times a month for up to 90 minutes, and that's the first 2 Tuesdays of each month at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. If you're in the platinum group, then we meet for the first 3 Tuesdays of each month. So you get an extra teaching call there. Everybody gets replays and the presentation and slides or notes or whatever we have after each call. And there are archives of all these calls going back to September of 2014, but they're not part of basic. So they're available for customers, meaning if you've spent money with me. And if you're in platinum, that certainly qualifies. So yeah, if you want to join platinum, please just reach out and let me know. But yeah, right now this call, we are on our first teaching call. This is for everyone. And the new format that we're doing in 2018, you know, the last, well, since 2014 anyway, I've led all the calls, and I've basically just emptied my brain out there and given you everything I could. And I realized that I'm connected to some really amazing people, and these people have so much to share with you, and they are so much more of an expert in their areas than I am. So for the next, for these 6 months anyway, and probably for the rest of the year, we're going to have guest experts. So last month we heard from Donna Kozik. I call Donna an author manifester. She shared her publishing arc with us on the 3 calls in January, and I got tremendous feedback from those calls. So hopefully you guys were able to catch those. This month here in February, we're talking to Gary Henson. He's the president and founder of BusinessCoach.com. I'll give him more of an introduction later, but you know, even if you're not a business coach, I recommend you listen to this presentation from one of 2 angles. One is you're just going to learn some great coaching strategies and maybe insider information. But the other reason is that you might even consider becoming a business coach or offering business coaching. I think that business coaching is one of the easiest kinds of coaching to sell, because if your prospect, the business owner, if they trust you, then it's a no-brainer to spend a little bit of money with you to make a lot of money in the results. So yeah, so I'll introduce Gary in just a few minutes here, but let me tell you about March. In March, we're going to hear from Susan Epstein. I call her my fraternal twin because she and I both started growing our businesses around the same time. We're both at approximately the same level, but she did it in a totally different way than I grew mine. So you're going to hear sort of a plan B or a version 2 of how to grow your business. If you've been following what I teach, yeah, you're going to get some great stuff from Susan. In April, we're going to hear from Tom Buford. Tom, he is an info product maniac. He is really good at creating info products. And, you know, I love info products. My favorite thing to do is to create an info product and sell it on an automated webinar coming from joint venture traffic. That has worked really, really well for me. So if you want to learn how to create info products, or if you want to know more about how to create info products, yeah, those April calls with Tom will be really good. In May, we're going to hear from Jennifer Myers. Jen is a copywriting coach, and she's worked with some of the big names in the coaching industry, helping them with their copy. She also leads the copywriting coaching calls for the JVIC, for the Joint Venture Insider Circle. So we're going to learn some copywriting strategies from Jen in May. And then in June, we're going to hear from Tamara Monosoff. Tamara is really good at helping people monetize their books. So it's great that you learned in January from Donna how to create your book, and in June you're going to learn from Tamara on how to really monetize your book. So those are the guest experts we have lined up between now and June, and let me move on and let's get to our current presenter and current topic. So I want to introduce you guys to Gary Henson, and Gary is the president and founder of BusinessCoach.com. And Gary's been coaching businesses. I know it's over 20 years. It's probably over 25 years. Gary, do you have that number of how long you've been doing this?
This year we're celebrating our 29th anniversary.
Holy cow. Wow. So yeah, he's been doing it for a long, long time before most of us have even heard of coaching. And Gary is also a very special friend to me. Gary, I've known him for over 10 years. I've been to his house several times, like stayed with him and hung out with Gary and his wife, Janine. And yeah, I mean, he's one of the most sincere guys that I know. Very honest, very sincere, and an expert in teaching people how to become business coaches. I actually went through Gary's official business coach training and certification program live in Sacramento. And yeah, he is amazing. He knows his stuff. And he's going to present to us today the first module of his program called the High-End Business Coach. So in just a moment, I'm going to turn it over to Gary. But before I do, you guys might want to jot down this URL. It's the URL that Gary is going to give out at the end of the presentation. But while you're getting ready to take notes now, just go ahead and jot this down if you want to receive Gary's free information and get on his list and learn from him and really decide if business coaching either is right for you or how to be a more effective business coach. So here's the URL. I'll say it twice and then I'll turn it over to Gary. The URL is becomeabusinesscoach.com. I love that. Everyone can hear, remember, and spell that. Becomeabusinesscoach.com. So Gary, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it over to you. And as we're sort of transitioning from one screen to another, I'll just say that I really appreciate you being here. I know how valuable your time is and how much you charge for your time, and to share with my audience, two or even all three of these presentations, yeah, it just really means a lot to me, Gary. So thank you very much.
Rob, it is my absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me. And I just want to first of all make sure that you can see my screen okay.
Yes, everything's coming through perfectly.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Well, Rob, thank you for the great introduction, and thank you for having me here today. And I think as everybody understands and can tell by the tone of your voice, we've been friends for a number of years. I owe a lot of my success in our business at businesscoach.com to you, and I'm forever grateful for our friendship and for our business relationship. You're a great guy, and I think everybody can tell that by the tone of your voice as well. Today we're going to be in part one of a three-part series, and I want to apologize to everybody up front because, as Rob said, I've been doing this for 29 years now. I learned business coaching and have mastered business coaching because my mentors were the authors, the inventors, the people that originally came up with the entire concept of coaching, and more particularly business coaching, and doing it in an environment where people really get the benefits of not only having an outside perspective, somebody from the outside to work with, but also people that can transform their lives and make a huge difference in people's lives. And so as my apology is this, is that I teach kind of like teaching people how to drink water through a fire hydrant. That's just my style. Again, I apologize in advance, and I don't want to, I don't mean to do that, but I just love this industry and I love what I do so much that that's what we've been doing. At businesscoach.com, we have created a methodology, a system, a process where we teach coaches to think like entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs to think like coaches. And the point of all that is that through our Thrive Business Academy for Coaches and through our profit system, our profit coach system, what you're seeing today is a 10,000-foot glimpse or view of some of the things that people need to know if they want to use business coaching and utilize business coaching as part or all of their process. Now, by saying that, I do want to say that most people get very intimidated by the thought of business coaching and working with business owners and leaders, and you shouldn't do that. Today's process and what we're going to talk about these next 3 weeks, including today, really should make it simple for you. And I have some really great things that I want to share with you so that we can simplify the process and not have you be intimidated. And I'm going to let the cat out of the bag right now, Rob. our coaches we train, even our rookie coaches, the people that are just getting started in our Thrive Business Academy or go for our 12-month mentoring program at businesscoach.com, we teach them right out of the gate to start charging as much as $500 per hour. And that's just people that are just getting started. That's not for the people that are veterans and that have had a lot of experience working with businesses and working with other areas of business coaching or working with business owners. So what we want to talk about today is setting you up to understand that there's 3 things that you can do for your clients as a business coach that they can never do for themselves. And that's what we're going to be talking about here in session number 1. So first of all, today we want to teach you how to think and what your thinking process should be. Next Tuesday, we're going to get into how to build your coaching business, not practice, but your coaching business. And then the third week, we're going to teach you how to coach. And we're going to get really, really deep into our coach's toolbox and really have you see some of the real high-end tools that coaches use. And again, they're not that complicated. So we don't want to make it complicated for you. You don't have to have an MBA or a PhD to work with business owners and leaders. You just have to understand how to strategically position yourself and have people want to learn what it is that you do in this coaching process. And the trick is not so much your brains or how smart you are or how much business you know, but you being the outside objective person to come in and work with business owners and leaders and share with them the things that they don't know themselves. So let me say it differently, and let me just take a little different approach. Today we're going to get into some things that we want you to learn, and the things that we want you to learn are things that are mostly unlearning myths or bad habits and things not to do. That's not a very positive way to approach a meeting like this, but really what we want to do is we want to talk about the things that other people aren't doing and other people don't know to do in business coaching, which is why they get intimidated, they turn themselves away, and they don't take on business coaching or don't want to work with owners and leaders of organizations. Being intimidated is the absolute wrong approach. And as you'll see, this doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to be intimidating for you. You just have to understand how business owners think and what they're looking for. The real key here is, what is it that a business owner or leader of an organization is looking for? And we're going to begin to share that with you right now. Okay, so if you're ready, here we go. We're going to get right into it. And I want to start with the area that I constantly run into with coaches. That's the biggest issue, and that is we want you to shift your mentality to an entrepreneurial mentality. Don't think like a coach, think like an entrepreneur. As I said earlier, we teach coaches how to think like entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs how to think like coaches. So we want you to get out of the mindset of thinking like a coach and start thinking about what does an entrepreneur think like when they build their business? What are the things that I need to internalize, put in place, get prepared to do so that I am a business person, not a coach. Yes, you're a coach, but I'm also a business person who is thinking like an entrepreneur, who's creating things in my business, not practice, but your business, that's going to set you up to succeed. And that's what we're going to talk about in these 3 sessions, setting you up to succeed so you can think like an entrepreneur. You know, lots of people are making the mistake of looking into different types of coaching and learning from different people. They're getting free material, and with that, you get a lot of myths, and you learn from a lot of people that are teaching material that they have never done, or they're giving away things for free, but they're not really teaching you the essence of what you need to learn. That's not what we're going to do here today, but what we want to do is debunk some of those myths and get you right into the process of learning how you can become profitable as a business coach and not be intimidated along the way. Okay, so changing your mindset from having a coaching practice to a coaching business, the first thing that we want to do is to teach you the thinking of what it is that you can bring to the table that other coaches are not bringing to the table, or what can you do, more importantly, for your clients that they can't do for themselves. So let's take a look at defining business coaching and what is the process that business coaches need to understand in order to be successful as a business coach or a coach of any kind. Okay, so number one, I talked about already. We're not in business to build a practice. We're building a business. Number two, you need to understand that profit needs to be a priority. And if you're not making a profit, if you're not finding a way to set up your business, coaching business, to make profit, then how can you help other people? How can you get ahead? How can you support other people if you can't financially support yourself? So you need to listen carefully to what we're going to teach you today. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to get a little bit into what is business coaching and what really are the things that business coaches need to understand about coaching, because I think the big myth is that I need to be a PhD or an MBA or really understand business, and that's not true. We're going to show that to you in just a minute, exactly the things that you can do. So business coaching, as we define it at businesscoach.com here, is the process of the coach working with the client in a way that the client can see something that they hadn't seen before. And it doesn't necessarily have to be directly associated with business or finance or profits for them, although business owners and leaders want to see a return on investment. So they want to hire people just to hire them and have somebody to talk to. They want to make sure that they're getting a return on their investment. But sometimes employers make the mistake, for example, of thinking the employees are their enemy, or that they don't understand the process of how to provide the appropriate service for their customers. And they don't understand customer service, or they don't understand how to keep score in their business and things like this. So as a business coach, what we do is we help people see something for the first time that they haven't seen for themselves. And we're an outside independent contractor coming in, working with them and helping them work through the blind spots in their business and helping them to organize and prioritize what are the things that they really need to understand that they're not focusing on and that they're not paying attention to. So that's the role of the coach. Well, what then is the role of the client? See, there's the role of the coach, the role of the client. If the coach isn't in charge, if the coach isn't developing a relationship with their client so that the client can grow and expand themselves and learn and see something different for the first time that they have never seen before, then what's the role of the client? Well, the client, number one, has to be coachable. And there's different levels of coachability, but the client needs to be coachable. Oftentimes we find coaches come to us and they say, I can't get my clients to do any homework. I can't get my clients to do their assignments. I can't get them to read books. I can't get them to be prepared for each meeting. They don't see it as an important, significant part of the relationship. And if you can't establish that up front, if you can't have enough control of the relationship, not of the person, you don't have to control other people, but if you can't control the relationship, then it's not going to get the results that you ultimately want to get. So you're going to have to be in charge, and you're going to have to provide them with something that they can't provide themselves. We're going to show you that here in a minute. And make sure that they're growing, they're expanding, they're changing their mindset. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So we need to get our owners, our leaders, entrepreneurs to start thinking a little bit differently, and that's your role. We're going to teach you how to do that in just a second. So I said there's 4 different levels of coachability, and here's the 4 different levels. You may want to write these down. There is someone who is not coachable, and that's where some of our coaches run into problems. They try to coach people who are not coachable. There's somebody who is reluctantly coachable. And that means that they will take the coaching, but they're reluctant to do it. It may be painful. It may be a choice that they don't want to have to make, but they're making the choice because you have assured them that they need to move forward. There is selectively coachable, and that's somebody who takes your coaching, but not all of your coaching. They'll take some of the coaching. And then there's completely coachable. So the point is here that there's 4 categories. The point is the top and the bottom of the scale are most significant. If somebody is not coachable, then you can't take them on as a client. You're wasting your time and their time. If somebody's completely coachable, on the other hand, that's like an Olympic athlete. That's rare. I don't know that you're going to find that, but you might. And then in between, there's the other 2 categories, which is probably where people will, where you'll meet people and where people will be available for you to coach them. And the goal is to work them into a point as to where they're completely coachable. So there's the role of the coach, there's the role of the client. The coach is in charge, the coach is leading the client in a direction. The client must be coachable and understand that if they're not coachable, they're not going to see those things that they would not otherwise have seen unless they surrender to your coaching. Okay, so now, as I said a few minutes ago, I'm going to start teaching you some things now that you may or may not have seen before that really will help you understand. You don't need to be an MBA or a PhD to qualify as a business coach. And here are an example of what we're talking about here. You see, the myth is that you need to understand business and work with people in business in order to be a business coach. But really what you need to be a really powerful business coach is these 3 categories. If you can do these 3 things and do them well, and we're going to teach you over these 3 sessions how to do them well. If you can do these 3 things and do them well, then you will win at the game of business coaching, okay? So number 1, you need to bring an outside objective opinion to the table. So these 3 things are things that you can do that the client will never be able to do for themselves. So you need to be objective about what you are experiencing, and think about this. How many people in your life do you listen to where people are complaining, well, my car doesn't run well, or my spouse said this or did that, or I can't seem to lose weight, or there's just not enough time in the day. And you say, well, have you ever thought about this? Have you tried doing that? Have you got this book? Have you ever thought about doing things a little bit differently? So you as a business coach coming into a business owner, and where the real money is, folks, I haven't said it yet, but I'll probably need to say this a number of times throughout our presentation here, and that is where the real money is. The more employees clients have, the more employees your clients have, your prospects have, the employers have, that's where the money is. The more employees they have, the more complex their business is. The more complex their business is, the more they need somebody with an outside objective opinion. So you come in completely neutral. You leave all of your problems and cares for the world in the car. You meet face-to-face or over the phone with the client. We do it both ways. We teach it both ways. You don't have to be face-to-face with someone. And you give them your opinion. And depending on how old you are or how much life you've experienced, again, you don't have to be a business professional or a MBA or a PhD to be able to share your opinion. You can give someone some advice from an outside objective opinion, and you're not attached to the employees. You're not attached to their financials. You're not attached to the day-to-day business that person is having to deal with. So you're just an outside objective opinion. That's the first thing you can do if you're well trained, is just bring your opinion and bring it neutral. Don't have judgments. Just say, if it were me, I would do it this way, or have you considered doing it that way? Let's think about this. Let's purchase a book or go on the internet and look at this, and remind them to get out of their head, get out of their situation, and bring an outside objective opinion to the table that they can't do on their own. The second thing that you can do for them that they'll never, ever be able to do for themselves is to be an accountability partner. Who in life has an accountability partner? Well, Olympic athletes, professional athletes, people in the arts that are doing singing and acting, they all have accountability partners. They all have people that listen and watch and observe their behavior on and off the court and give them some feedback, but hold them accountable to what they say their dreams and goals are. So early in the relationship, when you have a relationship with a client of yours, a business client, then you start asking them, what are your goals? What are your dreams? What's the vision you have for 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years down the road? I want to hold you accountable to those dreams that you have, those goals that you have. So let's start making lists and dates and times, and I'll be your accountability partner. Now, I'm not sure about you folks, but for me, I've been going to the same gym for 25 years, the same fitness club, and working out with the same group of guys for 25 years. Most of us have been members for the same time. We play racquetball and work out together, and so we see each other every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning. But in January and February, what happens is a lot of people, new people with New Year's resolutions, show up at the gym, and they come in, and we see this influx of shortage of lockers and materials and equipment. You have to wait in line in January and February, and soon March rolls around, and most of the people that made the New Year's resolutions have come and gone. However, there's a couple of them that hire a personal trainer to show up, and they pay them to be there when they get there. Those people stay on track, they form a habit, and then they don't get rid of the personal trainer until they have formed the habit and have begun to go and get into the gym. And they know that they don't need that crutch or that accountability partner. Sometimes that's 6 months or a year down the road. You can be that for your clients. And you can do that for them, but they can't do it for themselves. And then the third thing is some of you may be intimidated by this, create newfound profits. Well, I just want you to we're going to take a simple look at this. And what I'm just going to merely say about this is that if you are bringing outside objective opinion, if they've told you what their dreams, their vision, their goals are for the future, then you can help them get newfound profits just by doing those two things. But basically what you're on is like a scavenger hunt. Whatever they're not focusing on, whatever they're not paying attention to, as the accountability partner, you focus on that, you shine the light on that. So I'll give you a real short story of my own issue for the first quarter of 2017. I had this big stack of about 6 months worth of accounting paperwork that was sitting on my credenza in my office. Every day I looked at it. Every day I said I was going to call my bookkeeper and my accountant, and I was going to sit down and sift through all that mountain of paperwork and receipts and checkbook receipts and things like that. And it sat there for months and months and months until finally one day I had enough of it. I grabbed it, threw it in the box, said whether it's ready or not, I'm taking it to my accountant and I'm bringing it to them and have them begin to do the work and get it all knocked out and get out of the way, clean up my tax return, which was on extension, and bring myself up to speed. So you can be that by finding areas where people are not paying attention to their business. Are they keeping score? Are they, do they have current P&Ls? Do they do reviews for their employees? Are they having regular meetings, all company meetings for all of the employees? Do they have a mission statement and a set of core values? And I can go, job descriptions. I can go on and on and on. There's a whole list and litany of things that people are not doing, and it's leaking profits from their business. Now, hopefully at this point, all of you have gotten the impression that one does not need to be an MBA or a PhD in order to understand how to become a professional business coach. And these 3 items that we just covered should help you, and we're going to go through all kinds of other things next. But I wanted to make sure that all of you understand that thinking like an entrepreneur, having a methodology, a system, a process, being able to bring an outside objective opinion, be an accountability partner, show them where there's profits that they're not taking advantage of in their business. All of these things are things that don't take an MBA or a PhD for you to be able to put together a program and a system and a way that you can become professional as a business coach and not have to have a whole bunch of credentials in order to do that. Now, to be honest with you, we all know, and it's obvious, that we have a Thrive Business Academy where we teach our coaches how to think like entrepreneurs. There's other people in the community, so it's 2 live calls a month and 50 recordings and our small business coach master training system and all those kinds of things. All that's available to you, and of course that's going to make it easier because we have the tools and the lists and the things that you need in order to do what you need to do. But even up to now, you've seen that these 3 or 4 things and being in charge of the relationship and controlling the relationship, having it go a certain way, is going to be a huge benefit to you. And it's going to give you the inside edge on any relationship you have with any entrepreneur. And that's the key. And I'll tell you, the other thing is that many people lack the confidence to do these things. So if you learn and study this material, if you pay attention to what we're talking about, you'll have the confidence when you get in front of a business owner or leader and they say to you, well, wait a minute. My father founded this business 50 years ago, and I've been running it for the last 5 years and running it successful. What can you tell me about my business? Then you'll have a response and an answer for them. It's not about learning about their business or teaching them more about their business. They can do that on their own. It's what they don't know that they don't know. It's their willingness to change and grow and learn something new that's going to make the difference for them. And that's what's going to help them out. Okay, so that was all sort of a preparation for the next couple of calls. Now let's get into more meat of things that you're going to need to understand before you take on this business coaching process and before you understand exactly the things that you need to bring to the table in addition to what we've already discussed. Okay, so first thing is, we talked about it briefly before, how much do you charge? The lower you charge, the less money you charge, the less they're going to think of you. The more you charge, the higher your fees are, the more it's going to ring their bell and they're going to say, wow, I wonder, does this person understand something about business that I need to know because they're charging me $500 an hour. Now, we use that as a benchmark. I want to let you know that we don't actually teach our coaches and our students and the people that come through our programs to charge by the hour. We typically do it where you meet with the client 3 or 4 times a month. The minimum fee for a very small business, a solopreneur or 1 or 2 employees is $2,000 per month. You can do the math. And we don't charge by the hour, but we want people to understand the contrast between that and what other people are teaching and what other people are charging. So you can get a quick glimpse of the contrast as to what a professional business coach really should be charging in the neighborhood of $500 per hour, face-to-face time or phone-to-phone time. Now, that's the other thing is that you're going to need a setup for this. So you're going to need an agreement, a letter of agreement that's going to identify what things do they want you to work on. So when you sign a letter of agreement, you're going to want to have a connection to them that identifies 4, 5, 6 major categories that you want to work with them on. You want to list those out when you sign an agreement with them. So the agreement typically, in our case, is a 1-year agreement. So we tell people it's not a quick fix. Coaching is going to take some time. You're going to lose those pounds, gain some muscle, but you can't do it in 1 or 2 meetings. It's going to take some time. So we sign a 1-year agreement with our clients. We charge them a monthly retainer fee. We identify the areas that we're going to work on, and typically those areas evolve around time and money. So it's usually the leaders are working too many hours and they're not getting the results that they want. Maybe profitability is not where they want it to be, or sales, total gross sales are not where they want it to be. Their customer service is lacking. Their employee-employer relationship is not where it needs to be. There's things that they need to understand, and you can make a list of those things. Typically, it's bullet points. It's not paragraphs. It's just bullet points. Number one project is to increase sales by 35% within the next 6 months or less. And then you start working on how to do that. We'll talk about that in session number 2 and 3. Then the other thing is this is key, and if you're taking notes, you want to make sure you don't miss this in your notes. You need to make sure that you have a set of ground rules for the coaching relationship. Ground rules for the coaching relationship. So you need to make sure that they understand that they need to sign, to be on time for their appointments. They need to hold you and your relationship as a significant relationship. You're not there to coach them in the direction that they think they need to be coached. You're not there to coach them in the programs that they think they need to be coached on. Now, yes, there's a dialogue, there's a two-way dialogue, but someone can't tell you how to coach them. You're going to have to learn that as the relationship develops, and you're going to have to ask some very important questions to get them to understand how the relationship works, and it's a two-way relationship, you being in control of the relationship, not in control of the person, but being in control of the relationship. And of course, your time is valuable and so is theirs. We find the bigger the clients, the more employees they have, the less time they really are interested in spending with us. And we tell them we'll give them all the time you need, as much time as you think you're going to need with us, we will spend with you. Typically a minimum of an hour a week, a minimum of three weeks a month, up to an hour and a half sometimes if the session goes a little bit longer. And usually the larger the organization, the less time they have. They don't want to dilly-dally around. They want to get right to the coaching session, move through, find out what they're accountable for, make a list of the next week's worth of assignments, and move on. The next thing you want to take a look at, in particular, in regards to time is money, is you making sure you have some kind of marketing plan. Now, we're going to get heavily into this next week, but what is your marketing plan? How are you going to attract clients? How much are you going to charge? What are your goals? What do you call yourself? Now, we've been, in the last several years, been teaching our coaches to either use the word business coach or not on their cards and on their website, but they also call themselves a trusted advisor and mentor. So business coach, comma, mentor, comma, and trusted advisor. And it gives people a little broader picture of what it is that you do, and a little broader picture of how you can help them. Because sometimes the word coaching is not a relatable term, and it doesn't have people understand in total what it is you do. So coach, mentor, trusted advisor. These are terms that people can relate to, one or all three of them, and it helps you get the picture across to them so that they get an idea of what you do and what you have and what it is that's important for them to get out of the relationship. Okay, so you should have your first, you should have your goals and your plan set in place. And then you should have also a way to relate to your clients for the first 6 months. So we have a tool at businesscoach.com where we have a typical what the first 6 months of the relationship would look like. So there's a plan, a methodology, a system that you walk them through. So I'll give you an idea of month number 1. And then in the coming sessions, we may have time to talk a little more in detail and go more into detail about what things you cover. But in month number 1, you ask them, do they have a mission statement? Do they have core values? Do they have regular all-company meetings that they're having with their employees at least once a month? Do they have job descriptions? Do they have an org chart? Do they have a business plan? Who are the key players in the organization? Who are the leaders of the organization? Who are the problem children in the organization? Things like that. So you want to make sure that you have, that's month number 1. So that's 4 meetings of going through questions and answers and looking at all the different things that are going on in their business, and then starting a list of things out of that are priorities to work on. So for example, if we're not having all company meetings, we don't have job description, we don't have an org chart, those are 3 things that go on an action list in month number 1, things that we're going to work on right away. And the longer you meet with them, the more these conversations expand. The more they expand, the more things that you find are things that they're not doing that they should be doing that you're working on. So we have a whole 6 months worth of that that we teach our students so that they understand where to start with the coaching relationship. The other thing you want to be really aware of, and this is so critical. In fact, maybe next week we'll spend some time on this. So critical for you to understand that you need to have a way that you demonstrate what you do to a potential client. So you have to have a system, a process, a way to explain to people, not defining business coaching. Nobody wants business coaching defined. Not telling people all the successes and the wonderful things that you've accomplished in life. A little bit of that goes a long way, but you want to do a little bit of that. But basically, what we call the first meeting with a potential client is a demonstration. And what demonstration means is, a demonstration is that you don't actually define or talk about business coaching as much as you demonstrate to them what a coach can do for them. So you ask them, tell me 3 things that you're struggling with in your business right now. What are the top 3 things that are priorities for you that are not happening in your business? I usually do this, by the way, before I meet with them. So I do this in an email. And then what happens is that we work on those 3 things in the meeting, and you start asking them questions of how to resolve those 3 frustrating issues. For example, it's very common for a leader of an organization to say to me, well, I'm working too many hours, and my husband or my wife is getting frustrated with me being late for dinner 3 or 4 nights a week. Okay, great. So time management is an issue with you. And, well, it's not time management. Well, really it is. You look at it, it's time management. Okay, let's work on time management. Let's talk about how you manage your time, and let's look at how you delegate. Let's look at how you, who else could be doing some of the work? Should you hire another person, et cetera, et cetera. So all these things can be discussed during your first meeting with a potential client, and you actually get into problem solving and resolving their issues. And believe me, there's tons of them. If you're finding the right potential clients, there's tons of issues that they have. And you're working with them during this demonstration process to actually resolve the issues so they can see and feel and touch and experience business coaching rather than have you attempt to describe it and attempt to tell them the things that you've done as a coach. What people want to focus on is what's in it for me. Everybody wants to hear what's in it for me. So if they have a problem with time management and you can resolve it or help them begin to resolve it, and before they ever even hire you, you've already got a leg up on getting hired or becoming their coach. Okay, so the next area I want to talk about is, who is your client? What is your niche? Who is the person that you want to work with? And I'm going to talk about this in the form of a story. I have a story that I think it's a great story. I hope you do too, but it really helps all of us identify and get directly into understanding what the niche is, why I want to have a niche, and understanding better the importance of having a narrow field of people and a deep field of people to work with. So here's the story. Here's how it goes. A number of years ago, a lady purchased our Small Business Coach Master Training System, a product that we sell. And she called me and said, Coach Gary, I think I might want to be a candidate to get into one of your other programs. I might consider getting into the Thrive Business Academy or your 12-month mentoring program for coaches. And can we talk about it? And I said, sure. So tell me a little about what you've learned so far. Tell me a little bit about where you've come from and where you're headed and so on and so forth. And then I said, after we had a dialogue for several minutes, I said, so what is your niche? And just like it was yesterday, I'll never forget her response. It just blew me away, her response to this question. She says, well, I work with female dentists within a 25-mile radius of my office. And I probably hesitated for a little bit. I was probably taken back by that. I said, so can you tell me a little bit more about that? Yeah, she says, in my area, there's this small group of females that own their own dental practice. And they like to get together once a month and have a conference, a meeting, a luncheon. They like to work with one another and help one another and support one another because they feel it's kind of a male-dominated industry to this point. And they have unique needs and unique thoughts and feelings and ways they want to operate their business, and they don't want to emulate or copy their male counterparts. And she said, I just talked to a number of these female dentists and oral surgeons and orthodontists, and she said, I just got their heart and their compassion, and I started thinking about my background, which had nothing to do with dentistry, and although she was married to a dentist. And she said, I just really related to these women and their issues, and so I came up with a CD and a speech and a brochure that all speaks directly to these female dentists and orthodontists and oral surgeons, et cetera, et cetera. And that's who I work with. And I love them and they love me, and they know who to call when they come up with an issue, or if they need a coach or someone that they need to confide in or work with. Now, a lot of people might be thinking at this point, well, wait a minute. Why not work with female dentists, male dentists, orthodontists, oral surgeons? Who cares how old they are, what sex they are, or what neighborhood they're in? But you see, she became the specialist. And what I want you to get is that even though she's only focusing on 10% of a market that might be considered 100%, she's focusing on the 10%. Everybody, all 100% of the people in the market, she marketed to the males and let them know that she only worked with females. Everybody within a 25-mile radius of her office knew that's what she did. That's who she was. And they referred business to her. So she wasn't really narrowing the market and cutting 90% of the market out. She was specializing in a very particular market. And if anybody knew a dentist who was a female that needed help, she was the one to call. She was the only one to call because she's the only one in the field of business coaching that worked with that group of people. So you see, it's not just narrowing the field down or limiting ourselves. It's picking out a group. It's focusing on a niche. It's allowing ourselves to be known as the specialist in a particular area. And as we go on, and what we want to specialize in is not just like a certain group, male business owners who have less than 2 employees who are within 2 miles of my office. It's not just being specific to be specific, but it's what kind of people do you want to spend your time with? Who do you feel comfortable working with? Who would excite you to work with them? You see, everybody that I work with, I can't wait to work with them. I'm so excited to work with my Thrive Business Academy group. And when they get on the conference call with me twice a month, and I get to talk with them It's exciting. It's exhilarating. When I'm writing the course material, when I'm teaching and getting prepared to teach for them, it's exhilarating for me. I'm going to put this in. I'm going to talk to them about that. Oh, I bet everybody doesn't know about this. I want to teach this because it's so different and it's so exciting, and I want to help people understand this particular aspect of business coaching. Or when I'm working with the clients, I have a handful of clients I work with as well. They're owners and leaders like I am. I'm a business owner. I'm running my business. And when I meet with them, we have things to talk about. I can relate to what they're going through, and oftentimes the issues they're going through are the issues that I'm going through. So find a niche, find a avatar, which is the person that you describe in your niche. In this case, female dentist within a 25-mile radius of her office that are the owners. Real simple, real definitive, but very effective from the standpoint of she felt that she had a heart for these people and she wanted to work with those people. This is what helps you also be very authentic about branding and positioning yourself and putting yourself out there. This lady had no issues with talking to those people and creating a CD and a brochure and really being herself, not having to put on a different persona or way of acting differently with her clients than she would typically act with her friends or strangers or in a group setting. She just was herself. When she put ads in a local newsletter, when she posted on Facebook, when she got herself involved with other forms of social media, it was not inauthentic for her. It was very authentic. It's easy when it's authentic and it's what you really want to do and it's people that you really want to work with and help and make a difference for those people. It's easy and the money comes to you easily as well. And then the other thing about this that I want to make sure we're really clear on as we move through this topic of being authentic, who is your ideal client, who is the people that you want to spend time with. The other thing is you can't be everything to everyone. When you become everything to everyone, oh, I work with everybody. I work with startup businesses. I work with home-based businesses. I work with leaders that have 50 or 100 employees or 500 employees. There's no niche there. You're working with everybody, and you become known as the I work with everybody coach, and that doesn't work for people. It makes it sound like you do everything for everybody, and therefore you don't do anything for anybody. You're too broad of a niche. Really creates issues for people, and they don't know who you are, and so they can't refer you, and it makes it difficult for people to understand what you do. Okay. So, again, I think what we're talking about here, a brief recap of what we talked about so far today, and there's still lots of material I want to cover. I think what we're talking about here is you being an entrepreneur, having a business model, a model that you can relate to. You know who your clients are. You know what you're offering your potential clients. You know where to find your potential clients. You know where your clients hang out. That's another topic we should talk about. Where do your clients hang out? You want to go where they hang out and hang out in that place. Again, I hate to labor over this particular one story, but this lady knew where these people met and knew how to discuss with these female dentists their unique situations. So you're going to have to put together a model for you to step into, and a niche and an avatar and a way of relating to business clients. And again, I don't think this is that hard. I think we're laying it out pretty simple for yourself. And bring yourself to the table. What is it that you do that's unique or special, or what can you bring to the table? A lot of times when people call me and they want to join one of our programs, a lot of times they talk about, well, I'm really good at organizing, or I'm really good at helping people manage their time, or maybe both of those things. I'm really good at helping people see things for the first time, or see things that they can't see for themselves, exposing blind spots to people. And they come to us before they ever even take any of our courses with that in mind, and they understand what they're good at, what they're a genius at, and they bring that to the table, and then they learn a methodology, a system, a process through businesscoach.com or someone else, so that they can coach businesses and be really, really effective at coaching businesses, really, really efficient at that. Now, we talked about where do you find your clients. And one thing is you're going to have to understand is where do they hang out? You're going to need to understand, where do your clients hang out, as this lady did. And then you share your unique business experience, your background, your programs and methodology with them. And they choose it or they don't. You're not everything for everybody. And even if you're somebody right in your niche, they may be too big, too small. They may not be a match for you. It may not be the best timing for them. But you want to be good at networking and understand where to find people and where to network with people. We have some of our students are really good at networking from the standpoint, are there networking clubs, and they find a large enough group that has a lot of business people in it. They're the only coach. They get that niche and they work that niche, and they have a great audience of people that they have lunch with once a week or once a month with, or whatever. Sometimes it's Rotary. Sometimes it's on the internet. There's lots of different places, but don't forget to tap into your own network. Don't forget to tap into your own network, because everybody knows people and everybody understands that there's a network of people that are in your world, and you don't want to ignore them, step over them to get to new people. So start leveraging your relationships that you have. Create a plan to leverage the relationships that you have. And don't overlook family, friends, former employers, current employers, people that you hang out with, their employers, etc., etc. Set yourself up to win by understanding what you want to accomplish, and then go find out how you can accomplish it in a way that's fun and exciting and really, really powerful and empowering to you. You want to look forward to coming to work every day. And you want to be excited about what you do. And speaking of exciting things, one of the things I love is the fact that part of our methodologies, part of our teaching, what we work with our students on is very, very deeply involved with transformation. We are change agents at the core. We'll talk a lot about that in the next two sessions, but let me just say at this juncture, at this point, in the interest of time, that people are not interested in paying you $500 an hour or $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $6,000. I know people that charge $10,000 and $20,000 per month to their business coaching clients. People are not willing to pay those fees for the same information they can go find on the internet just by searching the search engines. So transformation is what people are looking for. Transformation is a game changer. Transformation makes the difference for people. So if you want to have a program, if you want to learn a program from us or something that's going to make a difference for business owners, business leaders, transformation is the foundation of the entire thing. So you're going to say to me, so Coach Gary, what does transformation look like? Well, I'm glad you asked. Transformation looks like people that are struggling with time management, and you can help them get past that. People that don't have a business plan, and they should have a business plan, you can help them get past that. People that don't know how to develop a team, don't have the right personality, but maybe they have an employee that does. You can help them get beyond that. And as I said earlier, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. One of my clients a number of years ago thought that their employees were the enemy, and it was us versus them. They actually created a culture of us versus them. I said, whoa, 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 wait a minute. If we can leverage your employees, if we can get them to operate as a team, if we can get them to follow your lead, if you can get involved with one of our cultural change programs where we actually help you change the culture of your organization and develop the culture, we can increase productivity of your employees by 10, 20, 30, 40, probably close to 50% per employee per week. Would you be interested in that? Sign me up for that, Coach Gary. Says, I want to do that. I want to learn how to do that. So we have tools for them to learn how to hold their employees accountable, how to let go of the story. Everybody has a story. My business is this way because of the economy, because of my credit line got cut off, because my banker's not working with me, because my employees aren't working with me, because my employees won't be accountable for what they're doing, so on and so forth. So all of these excuses that business owners and leaders come up with, again, as their accountability partner, as an outside objective opinion, you can help focus them and work in these areas where they are obviously struggling. And it's an opportunity for them to grow and expand themselves and get better at what they do. And we call that inventing a new future. Inventing a new future. So what happens is that people get stuck in the day-to-day business and they don't know what they don't know, and they have blind spots, and it gets busy, and the phone's ringing, and employees call in sick, and they're behind schedule with certain areas of their business that they can't be behind schedule on. So we bring tools to the table to help them invent a future, a simple schematic business plan. Invent a future can usually do this in 2 to 4 hours, and then step into the future and share that future with the employees so they can leverage what the employees, leverage their employees to get the results that they want to get. Many business owners and leaders are trying to be lone wolves and doing it on their own. We teach them how to leverage their employees, get rid of their story, bring accountability into the mix, and that's a brand new future for them, a future that they were afraid to dream about. That was the future that they were dreaming about when they founded the business or got started in the business. But now they've given up on that future, and it's up to you to revive and help them and support them with the tools that you're going to bring to the table. The top drawer tools that are going to make a difference and change them from being reactive to proactive. Change them from being an employer to a leader. Shift their thinking from I can't to I can, or let's try, or let's go for it. Shift their thinking from being a victim and the economy and the stock market and interest rates and everything else and my employees, everything's in the way. Own responsibility, be an owner, not a victim, and own their future, create their future, and create success for themselves in a way that they never could have created success in the past. So I'm getting ready to wind things down. Rob, I've noticed you've been kind of quiet. I've got a little bit more to go here, so I just want to kind of warn you that I'm winding things down here.
Yeah. And Gary, I tell you what, I think it's going really, really well. I've got several questions that I'd love to ask you before our time is up, and I'm sure other people will have questions too. So yeah, if you can structure the end of your presentation so there's time for questions within our 90 minutes, that would be awesome.
Very good. I'm going to go over the 7 critical success factors and then show them a quick way that they can get a free guide, and then we'll get into some Q&A. So give me a couple of minutes here. We'll be right into that. So there's areas where you want to focus on in business, and I've been alluding to all these different areas that we've been talking about and how you can work with business owners and leaders. So ladies and gentlemen, just think about these 7 things, and we'll be teaching these things and going into details next week and the following week with our future sessions, okay? So we teach our clients how to invent a new future, a future that they wouldn't invent on their own. We teach them how to generate new revenue that's laying in front of them and they can't see it. We teach them how to leverage their profits and how to, what to do once they get profits, how to reinvest them back in their business. We keep them in their lane, not to get too far out of the lane, have too many different products or services, and not try to start several businesses up at one time. Focus on what you do, make sure you do it really well, and I'm going to hold you, as your coach, I'm going to hold you accountable to doing that. We teach them how to increase their profits. We've talked about that all throughout the session. We teach them how to keep score, and so that anybody can teach people how to keep score. All you have to do is find out if their P&Ls are current, and take a look at their P&Ls month by month and measure, are they getting results with your program or with your support and your coaching. And then we teach them how to develop the culture, a culture of accountability, a new future, an invented future, a way that they can only dream about this future and the future that they let go of, okay? So just remember, this week we're teaching you how to think. Next week, we're going to be teaching you how to build, and the following week, we're going to be teaching you how to coach, and you don't want to miss session 3 because we're going to give away and talk about tons and tons and tons of the tools that we use in our system, in our methodology, that clients absolutely love and love to work with. So before we get into Q&A, I just want to say what you can do to get our free guide is very, very simple. You just go to, some of you maybe want to do this right now while we're live. You want to go to becomeabusinesscoach.com, the URL that Rob had talked about before. Just go to becomeabusinesscoach.com. I'll do it with you right here live right now. And when you get to becomeabusinesscoach.com, it should be on your screen. Think like an entrepreneur, and right in the center, in the big red dot, you can get the guide now. Discover 8 absolutes to build your high-end coaching business. So again, what we didn't have time to talk about today, what we didn't have time to get into in detail today, you can get this free guide by going to becomeabusinesscoach.com. That's the URL that Rob talked about when we talked originally. Okay, so Rob, I'm back on my, I'm back where I was.
Yeah. You can hit that little slide projector screen if you want to go full screen. That's up to you.
Okay, good. There we go.
All right. Yeah. So, so Gary, yeah, I've got some questions, and I also want to invite people on this call to use the Q&A button if you guys want to ask Coach Gary some questions about business coaching. I'll go ahead and kick it off while you guys take some time to hit that Q&A button and ask questions or share your biggest takeaways. That's helpful to Coach Gary, that's helpful to me, and it's helpful to other people on the call. So if you go to the Q&A, hit the button, and type in your questions or your biggest takeaways, I think everyone would appreciate that. So Coach Gary, the first thing is, like, I think I tried to listen to this from the standpoint of people who are business coaches and people who are thinking about getting into business coaching, or people who say, wow, that's too much for me. And one issue that comes up is confidence. And at least in my world, what gave me confidence to start coaching small businesses is the confidence of knowing that there was a guarantee during the first month. If during the first month this isn't for you, I'll refund your money. That kind of took the pressure off me and helped me be more confident about moving forward. Do you have any thoughts about confidence for coaches, or even offering some kind of guarantee?
Yes, Rob, there's a couple, I have about 2 hours and 20 minutes worth of response to that, but I'll cut it down to 3 minutes or 5 minutes. First of all, a money-back guarantee is great. You and I have both used that for all of our products and services. Everything that we do at businesscoach.com, we've always offered a money-back guarantee. But I want to caution people, if you're signing a 12-month contract with a client, or even a 6-month or a term contract, what I do is tell people I have a money-back guarantee, and I offer that only as a closing tool when it gets to the end of the conversation. I want the person to be on the edge and kind of thinking that maybe I'm going to say, let me think about it. And then I say to them, well, hold on. What if I were to offer you a money-back guarantee? I'm not saying I'm offering it. I'm saying, what if I would? Would that help you get started today? And 100% of the time, Rob, they come back with, well, what do you mean by that? What does that mean? And I say that for the first 30 days, we will establish a tremendous relationship. We'll have 3 or 4 or 5 meetings in that time frame where you'll get a really good feel for how I coach in my style and how our relationship's going to go. And at the end of 30 days, we're going to have a conversation, and at the end of that conversation, we're either going to go forward and you're going to pay me for month number 2, or I'm going to give you your money back, and you get to keep the materials that we have given you and the books that we've recommended and the recommended reading list and all the things that I've gone over with you. You get to keep that for free, and together we'll have established a really great relationship, and I'll have no hard feelings. I want to make sure that you and I are both on the same page and that we both will benefit from this relationship. So that's my answer to that. And the other thing is about confidence. Every other question that I get asked today, and every other thing that we talk about, I want to let people know. Rob was frightened and nervous when he went into business for himself, when he started on his own. I was frightened and nervous, and the best thing to do is to get started. Find yourself a good system, process, methodology, teacher, guidelines to get started and start building and growing and doing it today. Confidence comes over time, and it's going to take time for you to do that. But if you're going to wait for you to have the perfect confidence, you're going to be old and gray and tired and not want to do it. So I would suggest that people move forward with your dreams and your goals, whether it's business coaching or whatever else it is.
Awesome. Thank you, Gary. And I've still got 3 more questions, but I'm going to put mine at the end and even take them over into the next session if we don't get there. But I did want to share a takeaway from my friend and client, Sabina, in Germany. She says, thank you, Coach Gary, for all this information. Absolutely great. My takeaway for today is you don't have to be an MBA or PhD to become a business coach. I live in Germany and hear it's very often about your certificates.
Yes. And by the way, I would say I think certificates and certifications and things are oversold. We do certify our people, but that's not the first thing that we teach them. We want them to have a system, a process, a methodology, a way to relate to clients so that they can get the relationship going, and you can always get certified down the road. So thank you, Sabina.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Gary, nobody has ever asked me if I'm certified. I mean, it's you know, if there's trust and if they sense that you know what you're doing and you can help them, yeah. Especially I found the confidence with the guarantee, but yeah, nobody has asked me if I'm certified or to prove that I know what I'm talking about. It just comes out in the conversation. So
yes.
So yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I think I can ask at least one of these things. Well, here's a question for you, Gary, and I don't think you're prepared for this, but maybe you can give an answer off the top of your head. But I'm just wondering, between now and a week from now on the second call, are there any steps that people can take between now and then to really determine if business coaching is right for them? I don't know if this would be in the form of resources, or it could be going through your website, or some questions they could ask themselves. But you know, people are kind of on the fence saying, I don't know if I really want to talk to companies that have employees, or I don't know if I want to, you know, or if I can help businesses be more profitable or slash their expenses. Yeah, anything they can do between now and the next call to figure out if this is a good path for them.
Well, yeah, I think you said it, Rob. They can go to our website and look at some different things. They can listen to this recording when it gets sent back out, and they can see if they see themselves. And they can go to our, if they go to our website, they can get the free guide, Think Like an Entrepreneur. And that will certainly fill in some of the blanks that we didn't have time to cover today, but we'll have time to cover some of those things and most of those things in session 2 and 3.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and that URL again is Become a Business Coach. Gary, I'm pretty sure I remember when you and I bought that URL, when we bought that domain, Become a Business Coach. I was so excited that it was available. And you've owned businesscoach.com since like the internet started, it seems like, for a long time.
Yes, it was one of the first things that I ever did when I heard this thing called the internet. And one of my clients says, we're going to get you a URL. And I said, what the heck does that mean?
Yeah, that's great. All right, so becomeabusinesscoach.com is the URL to go to get Gary's free guide. And Coach Gary, I've got another question for you, and that is, what if the new coach, the beginning coach, doesn't have the answers or the experience? Like, can they come back to you at businesscoach.com and say, hey, I've got a client, this is their situation, how do I work with them? Or, you know, what if just simply experience or not having the answers is the situation?
Yeah, a lot of that, you know, a lot of coaches and potential coaches see that as one of those concerns that is a confidence confidence detractor for them, and it takes away from their confidence. And it, you know, it doesn't happen that often, Rob, but the answer is yes. People can always come back to me, or they can, if they're part of our Thrive Business Academy or one of our programs, they have access to us all the time so that they get answers 24/7. A lot of times what people can and should do is to respond back to the person that asked them the question and say, can you tell me more, or that's an interesting question, where is this going? And a lot of times if you answer a question with a question, you find out a whole different dimension of what people really want, and you really do have the answer. Or if it's a simple, sometimes you can find it on the internet, the answer on the internet.
Yeah, you know, I love that. And it reminds me of the time Tony Robbins went through a similar process, and the end answer was always because the people want to feel good. It always leads to that. So if you keep asking, well, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do this? Eventually it ends up at, I want to feel good.
Exactly. And again, people don't know that they don't know that. They don't consciously think of it. And that's such a powerful way to talk about the position of a coach, you know, because people will talk and ask questions and do all kinds of things, but they really want to feel good or feel loved in some cases. And that's why they're asking the question or doing that. And as a coach, we can really provide a great service for them.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, two great answers on that, which is to keep digging to find out what they really want, and also get the information off the internet. There's no shortage of answers on the internet as well. So I use that all the time. My last question for you, Coach Gary, is, and you might have to scratch your head for a second about this. I don't know, but I would love some examples of really like finding money in a company. Now, I know you talked about job descriptions and mission statement, and those seem they seem like good things to have. But I wonder if just maybe you have some stories, or just I'm wondering if I see myself in this role and I stroll into a company, like what's something where they're going to say, "Wow, Rob added 10% to our bottom line," or we did this. Like, can you share some examples of where a coach or even yourself where you were able to find money in a company?
Absolutely, Rob. First of all, I would say that you can find money, you can find profitability, you can find that in any organization, or almost any organization. And if you don't believe me, just look at what Amazon.com has become in the last 5 or 10 years. They're acquiring all kinds of different businesses and products and merchandises and putting on different lines and so on and so forth, merely because they for years and years and years, even when they weren't profitable, they built up a heck of a database of potential customers and people that they could market to. And they kept asking the market, what are you looking for? 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 But back to answering your question, specifically what I want to say is this, is that one of my clients several years ago was a very, very successful business. And they happened to be a landscape contractor, a regional powerhouse in the 11 western states. This guy really had one of the most profitable and successful businesses. And one of the things that they struggled with was finding good employees, finding people that they could get as laborers, people that would mow lawns and dig ditches, people that would manage those people, people that were supervisors that would drive around in trucks and manage the managers, et cetera, et cetera. And when they ran up against a brick wall for hiring people that knew how to repair irrigation systems and irrigation processes in big office complexes, they said, "There's nobody out there, Coach Gary, there's nobody out there." I said, "Well, why don't we train within?" "Well, we don't have time. We can't do this. We can't do that." So we created a university concept inside the organization where they picked 6 different, the first thing they wanted to find was people that could do work with irrigation systems and timers and sprinkler systems. And it was a kind of a sophisticated need that they had. But then once they got to looking at it, there were 5 other categories of things that employees really didn't understand, and that if they could help and train their employees, it would really help them get up to that next level of supervisors and managers and so on and so forth. So the first class that we taught, one of the supervisors really wanted to write the course, and he wrote it in 2 languages. So he knew that some of the employees wouldn't understand it unless he wrote the course or taught the course in both Spanish and English. But what was really interesting is when we started looking at the different things that people needed, one of the things that they needed most in their organization was people to drive the equipment, drive the people to the job sites. And people were immigrants and were intimidated about how to get a driver's license. So we actually taught people how to get their driver's license and how to get insured by their insurance carrier. And when we put these 6 classes into play, everybody, every division started flourishing and profits increased in every one of the different departments. But that's just one example, putting a university concept into an organization. And you can read about that online. There's books about it, all kinds of things. So you don't have to be a genius or an MBA or a PhD to learn how to do that. I just came up with the idea, and they fought me on it. And after a certain period of time, they accepted it and said, well, let's try it. And once we took it to the supervisors, they loved it. Now, here's another example I was going to say that almost every one of my clients has a problem with, and it addresses finding profits but it's a deeper issue, and that is as soon as a lot of businesses get to the 5-year or the 10-year mark and they're successful, they want to open up different divisions, different departments, and so on and so forth. And it sucks the finances, the energy, and the profits right out of the business, and oftentimes distracts them from what they're good at. So a lot of times a well-trained business coach understands to really debate with their clients and prevent them from wasting money on new equipment, wasting money on starting up new products, new divisions, new services, and instead reinvest that money or put their time and effort into going back to the clients and asking their clients, what do you really want? What's the thing that you like about our service the best? What else are you looking for? How else can we serve you? How can we get better at what we do? And just simple things like that, Rob, can really help people find, like in your own client base, how to increase your sales with your existing clients. You don't have to go out and advertise or promote. You can increase sales with existing clients. You can increase your service or services with your existing clients. You can find out what may be mistakes or problems or issues that you're having with your clients, get better, and they'll refer you more business. So it goes on and on and on, Rob. There's lots of answers to that question, but there's a couple of really obvious ones right there.
Yeah, thank you, Gary. I hope you'll go into more detail on those on the next call because, I'm anxious to learn this stuff, and I imagine the people on the call are too. So helping companies be able to offer more high-end services by training through the university, showing them where to cut costs. Going to their current client base and getting referrals or asking how can we serve you more, adding new services or products. Yeah, this is all a really, really good stuff, Gary. We are a little bit over time. I try never to go over time, so we will wrap up. I'll say something, Gary, and then I'll ask you to close it out. I'll just ask everybody, reach out to Coach Gary if you want through his website. Go to becomeabusinesscoach.com. Let him know what you thought of today's call, or let me know and I'll forward it on to him. But Coach Gary, thank you so much for your time with us today. It was a great call, and I can't wait to talk to you next week as well. And I'll leave you with the closing thoughts.
Well, you're most welcome, Rob. It was an honor and a privilege, as you know. Wind me up and let me talk. And this is what I do. I love doing this, and it's my favorite thing in the whole world to do. But I just want to say thank you for your friendship. Thank you for having me on today. I really enjoyed my time, and thank you, Sabrina, for the great question and the feedback. It was a great day today, and I look forward to next week and the following week.
Awesome, Coach Gary. Thanks again, and we will talk next week.
Bye-bye now.
Okay. Bye, everybody.